Okay, it's 11 a.m. Sunday. This is the second day of our two-day class, and as you can see, the class is sanding down a 1934 Chevy three-window coupe. Now, I just wanted to point out that at most classes, you end up sanding on what's called a demo hood. That's off an old Fox body Mustang, or a test panel. Here's a test panel. Okay, and these are a good way to learn how to sand, but it doesn't have what I call impact, because when you sand down the actual thing, now you got to be careful of edges, body molding, raised body lines. You just got to be a lot more careful. You got things like side mirrors, door handles, taillight markers. So it has what I call impact. To do this job, the class is using, it's called the Nikken electronics grade sandpaper. It's sold by Meguiar's, but it's an electronics grade that they import from Japan. And it's a much higher quality paper, sanding paper, than your conventional wet dry paper. It's actually electronics grade. All the particles are uniform in size and uniform in placement over the paper, so you get a very, very uniform sanding mark pattern when you sand. Anyway, this is the first step, sanding by hand. We're blocking this out. Then next we're gonna move over to machine dry sanding. And then at some point we will break out the wool pads on rotary polishers, pull our sanding marks out. We will switch over to orbital polishers to create a flawless hologram and swirl-free finish. And then we will put a ceramic coating on this thing, and it's gonna look freaking amazing. Okay, so the hand sanding portion of the class is done, and now the class has moved over to machine sanding, and for that we're using Eagle Abrasives by KOVAX. They're 2500. So there we go, there's 2500 in 3-inch, and also in 6-inch. We're using the Flex Pixie, and that's with a 6mm drive unit. And that's real important for the sanding aspect. You need that 6mm drive unit. Those are optional, so you got to buy it. We're also using the 1.6mm cordless sanders. Let's go see how the class is doing. It's looking pretty sanded. Looking good, guys. So has this been sanded with 2500? Okay, so this is hand sanding marks, and what they're gonna do now is they're gonna refine with the 2500. And notice everybody's wearing dust masks. Where's your dust mask at? And then of course after this we're gonna dive in with rotary polishers, pull out our sanding marks, and we'll finish with orbitals and we'll ceramic coat it. Here's the 1934 Ford after we've hand sanded it with Nikken 2000 and then machine sanded it with Eagle Abrasives by KOVAX 2500, dry sanding using cordless Flex DA sanders. And the class has really done a good job. It's a lunch break around here, so everybody's taking a little break to get some food in them, because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fire up the rotary polishers and we'll start buffing out our sanding marks. They did a really good job though. And now the class is taking rotary polishers, the Dr. Beasley's NSP 150 and some of the new CoreCut, and they are polishing out all their sanding marks. After that we will use a rotary polish or an orbital polisher to create a hologram and swirl-free finish. This is why I start the class out first thing on the first day using a rotary, so I know they have the comfort level plus the skills and experience, so when they're sanding and then using a rotary on this 34 Ford, I got the confidence they know what they're doing, so mistakes aren't made. So over the course of this two-day class, they got lots of hands-on experience with all the different tools, but they really got a good foundation using the rotary polisher. So the cutting step using wool pads and rotaries is over, and now the class has switched over to gear-driven orbitals with buff and shine yellow pads, and they're using the Dr. Beasley's NSP 95 to remove any holograms and swirls to create that perfect show car finish. And look at the gloss coming off this car, and that's after the rotary step, so it's only going to get better now that we switched over to foam pads. Really came out good. So the students for this class machine sanded hand sanded, Rotary polishers, wool pads, now Orbital polishers with foam pads, then we'll ceramic coat it. But this thing's gonna come out looking like $1,000,000. Really nice. So this is the car we used to learn how to remove orange peel. This is a 1934 Ford 3-window coupe. It arrived here with the custom, fresh, base coat, clear coat paint job on it, but it had a lot of orange peel and dry spray. So the first thing the class did was a prep wash to remove any dust. Then we clayed it to remove any superficial contamination on the surface. And then we went ahead and we block sanded it wet using the Nikken 2000 grit sandpapers, which cut like 1500 grit. After we hand sanded it, we machine dry sanded it, and that's to refine the hand sanding marks to be more shallow to make the buff out faster and easier and also cooler to the paint. And then of course we cut the sanding marks out using our brand new Dr. Beasley's CoreCut compound. It's an NSP primer. We followed that with polishing with buff and shine pads in the Dr. Beasley's NSP 95. And then we installed the Dr. Beasley's MX ceramic coating. And keep in mind, for most people taking this class, it was the first time they've ever hand sanded, machine sanded, and used a rotary polisher. So let me just show you some of the things the class got to use in this particular two-day class. This is the Nikken brand electronics grade finishing paper. It's not like a conventional wet dry automotive paper. It's much higher quality. Most of my peers in the industry would agree. This is the nicest sandpaper on the market today. Of course, we just use simple flat blocks for sanding, nice flat surface to flatten out the orange peel. Came back and machine sanded using the Eagle Abrasives by KOVAX Super Bufflex 2500 in both 3-inch and 6-inch. We used the Flex Pixie with 6mm drive units for the machine sanding with the small discs. We use the Flex cordless DA sander for the 6-inch discs. We come back and cut it with wool pads on rotary polishers and our brand new CoreCut, which cuts incredibly fast. And then we polished it to remove the holograms and create a swirl-free finish using the Dr. Beasley's NSP primer. These are Buff and Shine EdgeGuards pads and then gear-driven Orbital polishers. And then lastly, we installed the Dr. Beasley's Nano-Resin MX coating. And man, it really came out nice. Most of all, the students, they just really loved the opportunity. Instead of working on a test panel or a demo hood, they got to sand down, as I like to say, some other dude's street rod, which is kind of rare. You know, it takes a lot of trust in the local car community to have these people drop their car off and let strangers sand them down and buff them out. And just look how nice this thing came out. So to me, this is a lot better learning experience. I like to say this, when you sand down a car instead of a demo hood or a test panel in a class, it has what I call impact. You learn a lot. You got to learn how to avoid raised body lines, edges, all the different components like the side mirrors. You know, you just have to, it just has impact. It means more. You learn more. If you'd like to attend a class like this, go up to drbeasleys.com and look around for a text link that says classes. Click on it. You could get dates, location, topics, and prices. And of course, if you ever have a question, you can always shoot me a text or give me a call. And that's at 760-515-0444. And I hope to see you at a future detailing class.